Well, welcome back, Ina Kail.
Well, thank you.
Um,
Nice to be back.
yeah, I feel like we haven't done a podcast in a little while. We had the party here, and like that was a thing, and that was exciting. And then I feel like it's been a little quiet in real estate lately. Not
Um,
quiet as in busy, but as in like things to talk about. There
I
haven't
mean,
been a lot of changes.
that's not true.
Well, if you're going to talk about the NAR
I do not want to
lawsuit,
talk about it,
we're
but
not going to talk
there's a
about it. We're
still,
talking about it so damn much, and it's
I'm still getting a lot of emails about the lawsuit and a
so I
lot
don't
of,
want to talk about the lawsuit, but I want to talk about why do you think that you are getting so many emails and like there's so much talk about it? Do you think it has anything to do with things other than the actual lawsuit itself? Because I've got some conspiracy theories.
I think I'm getting it because everyone feels like the need to educate us.
Mm-hmm.
What is it all about? What kind of changes we have to encounter? And yeah, in general, like they want us to be ready for that change, which will be in getting an will be in effect in July.
Mm.
And I mean, you want me to look at myself?
I'm just allowing you to be able to.
Okay. Yeah, I feel. I mean, obviously, the first couple emails after we all heard about it came from our management and from our company and from CEO, and they all wanted to let us know about the change and not. They were telling us not to panic. Nothing is changing overnight, and since then we have trainings after trainings after trainings. And what does it mean? What will the change do to us, and how we should be prepared, and what should we tell our clients who are going to hear about it on the news? And the news seemed to be wrong. um, so they try to give us the information, the correct information that we should tell our clients.
Mm. I feel like it's a big opportunity grab for anyone that is in management, right? Because now you feel like, oh, I've got something to talk about. I have a purpose, right? Because you're telling me like, oh, they're educating us when like, you know, you could just have agents educate themselves. So now you've given purpose to somebody who might not have felt like they had purpose before. And then I'm seeing a big opportunity grab because the majority of the videos and things that I'm seeing are from real estate coaches, real estate team leads, people that are saying, "Hey, reach out to me if you've got concerns or fears of the NAR." Like it's really like to me just a big opportunity grab for real estate agents that are trying to recruit, and then of course, like I said, from a managerial standpoint, you want to maintain the current people that you have. So it's like, I got to stay in front of these people. Do they have concerns? Are they afraid? Like, let's do a training on it. Let's make sure that they're comfortable. And I don't know, man. I think,
I I don't. I mean, I don't agree with that.
tell me why.
Because I do think that a lot of agents are just not educated and they don't know how to do the business in correct ways, and they might hear the news and they think this what they hear is right, which is what public hears is not necessarily correct. So that's why our management comes in and says, this is how it's going to be. This is what's going to be changing for you. And if you were doing the business the right way, nothing is changing for you anyway. So it's just telling you, okay, if client's going to ask you, this is what you should, like how you should reply to them.
So you feel like there were a lot of agents that couldn't do the research themselves and really needed.
I think a lot of agents don't didn't even hear about it. Like,
Really?
I mean, how many agents don't do this like full time? If they have another job and they have a family to take care of, and like,
Did you know agents that didn't hear about the NAR lawsuit? Like you personally, did you know an agent that was like, you mentioned something and they were like, "Oh, yeah, I'm an agent and I didn't know."
I don't know, but
Nobody did not know in this business. That's a crazy talk. You can't say that. I feel
I
like this has been blown up so huge that if you have a real estate license, you're made aware of this. 100%. There is no way that you didn't know about this. There's no way. I can't believe that.
I think agents who just have a license, they probably didn't hear about it.
Okay. All right. You don't think that even just having a license, that other brokerages and other people who are looking for those opportunities aren't reaching out to those agents and saying, hey,
Maybe, but we have like, yeah,
so you're
yeah,
made aware of it.
I mean, yes, I receive a
Okay.
lot of emails from everyone.
Right.
But we do get a lot of emails anyway, so
Well,
we
outside
didn't
of,
want to talk about it anyway,
yeah,
so.
I'm so sick of talking about it. And, what I was meaning is that it's been a slow time. I haven't seen a lot of change. Interest rates have remained fairly the same. I feel like clients are, I'm feeling a very like, I hate to use this term, but like I'm feeling a very much we're in like getting back to normal, if you will, um, and not even getting back. I mean, like we are back, and I just feel like it's interesting because like anything that we can use in real estate, whether it's rates and maybe this goes back to my whole thing with the lawsuit. It's like anything we can use to put a spotlight on real estate and get the general public. It's never a bad thing. And I really do feel like I'm just not seeing anything new coming across real estate related that is getting the general public excited or even upset or anything about real estate. But what I will say was every month at the beginning of the week, I text all of my clients that I have, open files with and pre-approvals and everything along those lines. And this was the first time that I have had quite a few conversations with potential buyers who basically said to me that they are super confident that interest rates are going to drop and they're going to wait. And I even had one client say to me that she thinks that rates this year are going to go down to 4%. This is someone with like
Where does
no,
she get this
this is someone with
information?
no credentials in this business
Uh-huh.
and said, well, I think rates might get into, I think they'll go down to 4% and I'm going to wait. And I was like,
Did you ask her where did she hear it from? Like, who told her that?
I
Like,
did. And
what
it
did
was
she
through a
say?
text message and she didn't
Uh,
respond. And I said, well, we typically see, interest rates get into that like lower 4 or 5% every 7 to 10 years.
now, I would love to know the source so I could
I don't
maybe.
think there was any source. I honestly
So
don't
it
want to
was
like,
just a saying, okay,
yeah, I think
this is the
that's kind of
reason
where she wants the rates
while
to
I'm
be.
waiting, I'm gonna
Um,
wait till they drop till 4%.
no, she didn't say I'm going to wait until, but she said, I'm waiting for rates to drop. And I said, well, what's your strike point? Like, what interest rate are you kind of waiting for that would make you, move?
Mm-hmm.
And she said,
4%.
I think that it's possible for us to get down to 4%. And I said, really? I said, well, I can't say that interest rates haven't been, 4% or lower. Um, I've seen 4%, you know, 3 or 4 different times in my 20-year timeline in this business. But those rates, typically are every
Right.
7 to 10 years.
That's what I just wanted to say. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe if we rate another, we've had rates where they are right now for about 2 years. So even if it is on the low end, it's like maybe we'll see 4% in 3 to 5 years. So it's just interesting to me because I guess what I'm getting at is like the conversations that I typically have is like if someone says we want to see rates get lower, it's like it's more along the lines of um, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think I'm having conversations with clients that are very confident that we are going to see some what I would consider drastically lower than what like I mean for interest rates right now that are in like the mid sixes to go down to 4%, that's a 2.5% interest rate reduction. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so to see that in a short period of time, and what I would consider to be a short period of time is anything, you know, at or under a year. I don't know. I just I'm not feeling that or seeing that or reading any kind of data to support that. And the fact that there are clients that are seeming fairly confident in that was just super interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know what to say other than that.
So what's your reply? Just okay, let's wait. Like, how do you educate them? Do you tell them where to look? Like, tell them about the websites they should follow or whatever. Like, somebody to listen to? Like,
So in these instances, I think that what I typically find is when people have, concerns about rate and things like that, once I start to dig, it really has other reasons,
mhm,
right? And so this is going back to the point of why I brought all this up, is because this was the first time that I really do feel like it was like, I can't explain it. It's like they were acting like they knew something that I didn't,
mhm,
right? Where normally it's like, well, I'm waiting for rates to go down because I want things to be more affordable, because here's where I want my payment to be. And, we can kind of have this conversation about affordability, right? And
mhm,
we know rates drive payment just as much as purchase price, just as much as everything. But to watch, and it wasn't like I had like 15 people say this to me. It was like 5 out of like the 50 people that I contacted. So like 10% made comments about rates and had what I would consider to be a very confident tone that they knew rates were coming down soon.
mhm.
And I was just kind of taken back by that because, again, it's like, well, I'm waiting for rates to come down. To your point, it's like, well,
Based on
what
what?
does that conversation look like?
Mhm,
Where do you looking for your payment? We have that. But as I went through that, it was like, no, 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 no. It's almost like they didn't say it directly, but they were like, you don't understand. Like, I know rates are coming down
mhm,
and I'm going to hold off. And I asked somebody else this, and they kind of said that they think it has a lot to do with some of the chatter that we've heard in the news about the Fed funds rate, which is not directly tied to mortgages. Public service announcement. Okay, the Fed funds rate is tied to what the Fed is going to lend money to investors. Mainly is going to affect credit cards and business loans and things of that nature. Um, and there's a 66% chance, based on analysts that study this for a living, that there might be a 0.25% reduction in June.
that's it.
Yeah, which, you know,
Not a
to
big change. It's
go
not
from 6.5 to 6.25.
2.5%.
Right, and it's not even a direct correlation,
Yeah,
for the record.
yeah.
So I think that maybe because of all the chatter about the Fed potentially reducing interest rates, that people are utilizing that as, just June is summer market.
I
It's
mean, the
kind of
Fed
like a hotter time.
doesn't even say how much lower they're gonna be, right? And from what interest rate. They might increase it and then lower it, and then they're talking just about the
Well,
lowering the
there's no
interest rate.
chatter about them raising rates, um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
obviously.
but again, I'm just trying to give the why. Like, it's just interesting, you have these conversations with people and you can present data and you can do all of the things, but I just think that a lot of it sometimes, and they don't want to admit it, but a lot of it's just like, it's just emotional. It's just like, I got a feeling like, okay. And so if June is like when we're talking about maybe seeing this little baby reduction in the Fed fund rate, like maybe that's kind of more their time that they're looking to buy, and they think, oh, that'll meet my timeline more.
Hmm.
But like, you start having those conversations with buyers, and sometimes they clam up because I feel like they think you're trying to sell them and convince them to buy a home today, when I'm really just trying to pick their brain and figure out where their head's at, because I not only want to know where their head's at, but I want to see if maybe that's what other people are thinking and they don't want to tell me. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
So I think it's been, I only brought that up because I think that you have a lot of people, not a lot, but more than I've seen, that are legitimately now, we always say, oh, we got buyers on the fence, we got buyers on the fence. And I'm usually able to identify that the buyer on the fence is not on the fence. He's more like not going to buy, right? He's not on the fence. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
there's a major underlying issue as to why he or she is not buying. And it's not because of, oh, I can afford, but I'm just not feeling it. Where I was kind of surprised at the amount of people that can afford. Again, these are clients I've pre-approved. I know they can buy,
Hmm.
and they truly seem on the fence, which the positive part is you keep hearing this, but now I'm starting to believe it more than ever, is there is some serious pent up demand. I mean, serious. Like, again, going back to identifying that, like, this isn't an on the fence, or this isn't on the fence. This isn't like, I got to get these guys off the fence, and see what. Then I dig into it on the finance side, and I'm like, oh, either you can't afford this, or like, there's some serious underlying issue that is creating them from purchasing, and people don't like to admit that. They like to say, oh, I'm waiting for rates to come down, because you don't
Mm,
want to say, well, I can barely afford this place. right?
But you are able to find this out. They
Right.
they would never tell a potential, like, their realtor.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell their realtor, hey, I'm thinking about buying, but the main reason I'm not is because I got a low credit score. So I don't hear a lot of I'm waiting for rates to go down from pre approved buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what I should have said from the beginning now that I think about it. I do hear, oh, I'm waiting for rates to go down from the people who were like, and I don't want to get qualified yet. Like, I don't want to get a
They
pre
don't want to, like, yeah,
approval.
fill out the application
Right. I
yet.
don't want to get my credit
Yeah.
pulled. There's always some bullshit excuse, right? But when you have taken application, provided income documentation, we have you like pre underwritten, and now you're telling me you're waiting for rates to come down. That doesn't happen very often for me.
Because you kind of provide them I mean, not a guarantee, but you're telling them you are able to buy a house.
Correct.
Even with the rate we have today.
And most people that go through those motions, they are motivated.
Exactly.
So again, using the term on the fence, I talk to a lot of real estate agents that will say things like, oh, I'm waiting for some of my buyers and sellers to come off the fence.
Yeah, that happens.
But when I get involved from the finance side of things, I find that they aren't on the fence. There's a major underlying reason as to why they're not buying or selling.
Mm-hmm.
But when
So-
I have a fully pre-approved buyer with income documentation presented to me, fully underwritten, that is saying, yeah, I'm waiting for rates to come down, that's on the fence. I haven't seen a lot of that in the last 2 years.
So are you saying if we have a client we meet for the first time, we get a lead, for example, who's just surfing, like, is online looking for homes, maybe is thinking about buying, but not really like pulling the trigger yet. If we meet with them and do our buyer consultation, and they're like, I'm gonna wait, and they don't want to really tell us why and the reasoning about it, we should just try to convince them at least to talk to you and get an application started.
Yeah, but they
so
won't.
You can, okay, but
Right?
then it's like, okay, if they're
That's
not
a red
even
flag, for
willing,
sure.
exactly, if not even willing to fill out the application, there's something about finances they're not totally like being true about or not.
I would love
just don't
every
wanna.
single real estate agent listening to this right now to ask themselves, how many clients do you currently have that are not pre-approved? And so what I mean by that is like, I know some people are like, all of my clients, they're pre-approved. No, maybe you're not running them as a buyer, or maybe you don't have their property listed, but they're technically a client, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how many active clients do you have? If you have 10 clients, 4 of them are pre-approved that you're actively running as buyers, and 6 of them are either potential buyers and sellers. I'm telling you right now, of the people that are refusing to get pre-approved, 80% of them are not doing it, or not, because there is some underlying issue as to why they're not buying and selling that has nothing to do with interest rates or anything along those lines. It is because of the actual ability to purchase a home. 80%.
Meaning you as a realtor who is running a buyer who's
You might not be
pre-approved.
running these buyers. I mean, you might just be having casual conversation with them. You're checking in with them once a month and saying, hey, because you see them active on your like portals and stuff, all real estate agents. So
Okay.
you're checking in. You're like, hey, Bob, I noticed that you were looking at 123 Main Street on my, what do you call it? Your portal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, how's everything
On our
going? They're like,
website.
we're just looking. We're trying to figure out what we want to do. I'm telling you right now, that client is not on the fence. It is not because of interest rates. It is not because of any excuse that they give you. It is something that is enabling them from moving forward financially, and it's not the rates, and it's something else. I always am able to identify it when I finally get to them and have those conversations. And 80% of the time, there is a major underlying issue. It is like, we just had one. Chase Kangalosi and I just had one, and it was like, finally they get to me and we get everything going, and they're like, you and I just had this exact same thing happen, now that I think about it. And what did they say? They're like, yeah, we haven't filed our 22 and 23 taxes yet.
Yeah.
Right? So I finally get to these people,
Yeah.
and they're on the fence. No, they're not. They don't want to do their taxes. They don't want to pay the
They don't have their
IRS.
shit together.
And
Yeah.
it's not about having your shit together. I mean, I'm sure once they file their taxes and they pay the money, they have the money. But like, there's this major obstacle, right? But I promise that if they talk to friends or family or something along those lines, they're not going, and they're like, oh, what do you guys, oh, we're thinking about buying a house. Or even when they talk to you, you had no idea until I told you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh yeah, we're thinking about buying. You actually took them to see a property, and it was like, okay, what do we got to do? And because they were past clients, I just reached out and I was like, what's going on? They're like, well, we haven't filed our taxes yet. So the point of all of this is pre-approved buyers that are now telling me I'm waiting for rates to go down. Me as a lender.
But then they don't. Pre-approved buyers don't tell you that.
But I had like 4 of them yesterday say that. It was weird.
Okay.
And I just want to I'm just thinking about real estate agents be like, I have so many people telling me they're waiting for rates to go up. Oh, no. I believe that. But I'm telling you, not somebody who got fully approved and is aware of what interest rates are and has looked at homes actively and all of a sudden goes, I'm going to wait for rates to come down. I don't see that very often. I haven't seen it in 2 years when interest rates have gone up. Yes, I've talked to potential buyers that don't want to have their credit pulled, don't want to take application, want to talk about payments and interest rates and everything along those lines, but don't want to take the extra steps and finish the conversation with, I'm going to wait till rates go down. But that is not the reason why, I promise, because once I get their credit and I get everything, there's something else going on. Like, oh, and I haven't filed my taxes for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing more of that lately, which is just very interesting to me. So apparently the general public knows something that we don't. Whether they're right or wrong, there is a boatload of pent-up demand from people who are clearly serious enough to do all of the things to write an offer, but then want to wait. I was surprised by it. But I feel like, I haven't done as many podcasts and stuff like that because there just isn't as much excitement in the last month. Because I usually do 2 of these a week.
Yeah. And you have way more guests coming too. So
Well, that's the thing. People are like, well, and I mentioned to people, hey, we need to get you back on the podcast. And they're like, well, what are we going to talk about? And I'm like, we're going to talk about the market. But then we kind of talk about the market and they're like, there's really not a lot of things new. And then everybody wants to talk about the fucking NAR lawsuit. Right? I say the F word on this podcast. It's okay. I check on YouTube and everything that this is not okay for children.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can't be under 18.
I thought
I don't know
they
how they
didn't
do it.
allow you to post if it's not okay for children. Now it makes sense because I do always click yes, okay, because I don't use swear words. So
Yeah. So I had a couple of things. Was there anything you wanted to cover real estate wise? Because I have a couple of things I've got coming up that I wanted to chat about, and maybe you could create some conversation. And then I want to talk about $10 ribeyes. You want to start with $10 ribeyes, or
No, I don't know why you even want to talk about it again. I mean, we've talked
oh,
about
it's got to be
this.
recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you. I'm gonna answer it wrong again.
There is no wrong answer. It's a personal preference. So we'll start with $10 ribeyes.
Okay.
So for those of you that don't know or track the cost of beef, and it varies, whatever. But usually you can get like an 8-ounce ribeye in the store, uncooked, of course, for about $8 to $9 a pound, unless it's like Wagyu and stuff like that, right? Or excuse me, for a half pound. So it's like $16 a pound. That's kind of going rate right now. And so I always think about people who go to restaurants and I don't want to I've been thinking about which restaurant I kind of want to put on blast, and I don't want to say any names. So I'll just say you go to a diner, right? And by diner, we're talking about the diner where there's the 60-year-old lady. She smells like cigarettes. You come in, you sit down, and she's like, what are you guys going to have? And you're like, coffee. And she kind of just, you know what I mean? That lady is working there. She probably has a tattoo or two. And everything on the menu, you can get full meals for $5 to $10, right? You can get a 2-egg hash browns and maybe some sausage links. It's like
steak and eggs.
it's like $4.99, right?
Yeah.
And so I love ribeye steaks, right? And I cook them at home. You can go to fancy restaurants, which I will name. I mean, we've got restaurants like Perry's. We've got, really good high-end Eddie V's, really good, Bob's Steakhouse. There's a ton of high-end steak houses in Austin. I've seen, one of my favorites is Dean's, right? Dean's. If you haven't been there, you have to go to Dean's and get their truffle pasta too. It's fantastic. But I think we had a bone-in ribeye there one time. It was like a cowboy ribeye. It was like $150, right?
It was a tomahawk.
It was a tomahawk,
Mm-hmm.
$150. I mean, this is still just ribeye steak, right? But when you go to a place like
Oh,
that and you're going to spend $150, like you got some high expectations,
of
right?
course.
So
Yep.
when I go to a diner and I see on the menu that there is a ribeye steak for like $9.99, the very first thing that goes through my mind is there is no way that that ribeye can be any good, right? It's got to be a low quality meat, might even be old. Maybe it's on the specials menu because, like, you know, it's
They
kind of
cannot
going
serve
bad.
old steaks.
Yes, they can. Yes, they absolutely. You haven't been to enough greasy spoon
Oh my god.
diners. You don't know what you're talking about. Go back in the kitchen of those places
What
and
if
you tell
somebody
me.
like orders a medium rare and they serve an old steak?
So
You
you see
should
this
get sick.
$9.99 ribeye special at a diner, right? First of all, me as a ribeye guy, I am never, ever ordering a ribeye at a diner, period,
Mm-hmm.
right? But let's just say you want to take a walk on the wild side. So you go and you order this $9.99 ribeye, right? Where you know at the grocery store, even if you bought it, it's going to be close to that cost. You order it medium rare. It comes out well done, right? And you cut into this thing and you're like, this sucks, right? I want to know who made the mistake, right? And what I mean by that is, in my opinion, when I see a $10 ribeye at a Greasy Spoon diner, I'm automatically like, I'm not dumb enough to order that.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't order oysters at a diner, right?
That's
We
true.
talked about Dean's and how delicious their truffle pasta is. Am I going to order a truffle pasta at like Luby's? No,
Mm-mm.
because I know that it is not going to meet my expectations. And so if someone orders the $9.99 ribeye and it comes out and it's not good, in my opinion, I'm like, why the hell would you order the $9.99 ribeye at a Greasy Spoon diner? Like, you're the screw up in this situation. But then others would argue, well, if it's not going to be like a good ribeye, why would they have it on the menu? And that is the argument that I'm going to relate to business in general,
Yeah.
right? So going back to like real estate agents, lenders, insurance, any business owner, you have to, you got to set your prices, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I am shocked at the amount of people that will take a walk on the wild side and purchase something that they know is just wildly under market price, being ordered at the wrong spot, in my opinion, and they're pissed off about the quality of what they received. And I relate it to business. Like, if somebody came to me and said, oh, hey, I want to sell you a car, and, it's a brand new 2024, I don't know, Mercedes Benz. It's brand new. And they're like, I'm going to sell it to you for $5,000. I'm immediately skeptical, right?
Of course.
Right?
Because you know the real price. And like,
Yeah. I mean,
what's wrong with the car?
because we
right?
talked about it with like remodeling, right? Like you talk to 5 contractors and they're going to, they give you quotes on a bathroom. One guy's like 30,000, another guy's like 32,000, another guy's like 28,000, and a guy comes in and he's like 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oof, that seems way under market value. You have got to know, if you're going to take a walk on that wild side, that there's a strong possibility that that is going to be a $9.99 ribeye.
Mm-hmm.
And when that $9.99 ribeye comes out, you either go, in my mind, you go, well, shit,
I'm getting what I
I'm
paid
getting
for.
what I paid for,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But it is amazing to me the amount of consumers that will be like, oh, this is bullshit. Like, why would it be on the menu? That like almost the restaurant screwed up because they put something that's shitty on the menu, but like, come on, you knew what it was, right? What are your thoughts?
I'm like, I have so many thoughts right now.
Go.
I mean, yes, it depends. If you offer a service
Mhm.
and you tell the client, okay, I'm gonna do everything, like you're gonna have the best service, and then you offer it for a lower price, you cannot provide something shittier than what you are like making the clients
Yeah, but this
expect
is
from you.
a ribeye. There it is.
I was talking about the.
Well, I'll give you an analogy.
I'm just saying,
What
like,
if I'm like I need a real estate agent. I'm selling my house. I need a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? 5 real estate agents come to me. One says, "I'm going to sell your home. We want 6% commission." Another one comes in, says, "I'll do it for 5%." Another one comes in, says, "I'll do it for 7%." And then another guy comes in and says, "I'll do it for 1%." Right? Now, if I'm going based on price, who am I going to choose? The 1%, right? But all of these people are going to give a presentation. They're going to explain how they're going to showcase my property. They're going to tell me how they're going to work their asses off and get my property sold for top dollar, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Even if the 1% guy goes, "I'm not going to do shit. I'm just going to list it." I think,
Some people choose to do that.
I know a lot of people choose to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think is the consumer that lists for 1%, I'm surprised at the amount of times I hear from agents where they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm not doing that. I mean, I took it as like a discount listing. I listed it for 1%." And the seller is disappointed at all of the services that are not being offered that they knew weren't going to be offered, but are still pissed. And it's like, well, you got what you paid for, is what you would say to that consumer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the problem. You still have a pissed off consumer. So when the $9.99 ribeye client comes out,
See, that's why I don't even offer 1%.
I think that's smart.
Because I do not want to have bad review and a pissed off client.
I think that's smart. But what's interesting, and this is what I feel like I'm not getting across, is like, I thought more people thought like me, where I'm not ordering truffle pasta at a greasy spoon diner,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, duh, like gross. You don't order spaghetti at like the, you know, at the taco joint.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't. And I thought more people thought like that, but I'm very astonished at the amount of people that are like, spaghetti at the Mexican restaurant, it's gonna be fantastic, and then they order it and they're disappointed, and then they complain about it.
Yeah.
Shocks me.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like they're doing it because they're like, damn.
Do they want to have a discount?
Well, that's the ribeye analogy
Yeah, I
is
think
even
it's
better.
like,
It's like
oh my
a
gosh, I
ribeye
get
for
a s-
$9.99.
Exactly. You're like thinking of, I can save money and I can eat a ribeye in a restaurant which should not serve ribeyes because I cannot afford to go in a too expensive restaurant.
And then,
But then you kind of expect to have a good quality because they have it on the menu
I mean, ribeye's a good cut.
and they want to provide a good service, right? They want the client to be happy. And then you get the disappointment and you're like, well, I'll never come back, I guess. But at least you tried a cheaper cut.
So this goes back to my whole thing I wanted to say. So who's really at fault? Is it the consumer as far as like not being aware of what the heck was going on? Or is it the restaurant who even serves a $9.99 ribeye?
I mean, if I relate to real estate,
That's what we're doing.
that would be the agent who offers it.
So let me ask you this. Now I'm going to take you down the rabbit hole. If there are a bunch of agents that go out there and start offering discount commissions just to get the deal with total intention and letting the seller know, hey, I'm just going to list your house. I'm going to take pictures with my cell phone and I'm not doing shit, right? Is it possible that that might muddy the waters in your business to make people feel like real estate agents don't do much?
I mean, it proves the point then, right? I mean, you provide the shittier service for less commission. And if
But the point is that you just told me that providing shittier service for a lower commission is the real estate agent's fault. not the consumer that chose the lower commission. Because again, you're telling me that the $9.99 ribeye shouldn't be on the menu
Mm-hmm. But you
because
just said if there are a lot of agents who are gonna provide, or who are gonna like offer a lower commission,
Mhm,
and that's what I'm going off. Like if they are,
mhm.
like let's say a group of agents decides to do so, like and to be competitive with the better agents or whatever, and just offer a lower commission service where they're gonna just say, which is already available. I'll just put an MLS for $100, and I'm not gonna do a shit for you, right, for the client.
Right.
Um, then if the clients see more of that, I mean, if they don't have the money, they're gonna go for it. If they are willing to pay more, they're gonna reach out to agents who are like providing whatever they need to provide to like the service the client deserves, and that obviously costs more money. So it's just if
Ultimately,
we
I think what you're saying is the market will dictate.
exactly like
But what? But that's not going to happen overnight.
of course not, and I don't think a lot of agents will do so. Like who if you're that kind of agents, you should just stay away
They're
from
out
real
there. I
estate
mean, we talk about them all the
because
time. We know
it
their
does
names. We
not
know who's doing
serve,
it.
yeah, and it does not serve
And so this
us
is the
any
point that I
good.
feel like maybe the audience is missing, and I feel like you're definitely missing, is I think that there are consumers out there that are choosing agents due to price, and then they're having a bad experience because the agent isn't providing the best top-notch service because they're not being paid. And instead of the consumer saying, well, I'm kind of not having the best experience I feel like I could be having because I have a discount agent, they're saying, why are you discounting your services if you're not going to give me the best service? And
But
you're like, what are you talking about? That's a $9.99
no, but
ribeye situation.
why are they even thinking like that? Like if you meet with the client and you're listing them the service you're gonna provide for whatever 0% for 0.5 1%, you are telling them what you're gonna do and what you're not gonna do. So it's on you to articulate to the client what is he getting, like, and that people already saying that agents gonna start providing like packages 1% 2% 3%, and this is what you're getting, and don't expect me to be an agent who is asking you for 3% to do the service for 1%.
I
It's
feel
just
I feel like you're still missing my point.
why?
So you're it's like you're agreeing with me while disagreeing with me. What I mean by that is you're saying, okay, 1%, 2%,
No,
3%.
you're
But listen, you're like, don't expect me to do all the things that I would do at 3% commission for 1%, right?
yeah,
Okay. So then when I choose the 1% and I'm upset that I'm not getting the 2%, 3%, you're saying the consumer should take responsibility for not being
upset.
up right.
Yeah,
But what you're saying in my ribeye is that you're saying it shouldn't even be on the menu. 1% shouldn't even be on the menu, but
because
you're now telling me you're going to
because I
put out a
cannot.
menu and go 1%, and then when they pick the $9.99 ribeye
But they don't.
and they're disappointed,
No, no. It's for me.
you just said
In
it
my
shouldn't be on the
mind,
menu.
it's not the same. Like if you are telling me the restaurant, which is it's not supposed to have an expensive steak on the menu, offers a steak for less, right? And that you consumer expecting from to have a good experience, to have a right steak, but nobody told you. They're not gonna tell you, hey, you're gonna
You
get the
look around and the
best.
carpet's green and the
You're
lady's
gonna
got
get the
tattoos and she
best
smells like
steak.
cigarettes, and you think you're going to get anything above a subpar steak, you're
But
out of your
this,
mind.
no, but what you're expecting comes from judgment, right? It's not like what what the restaurant tells you you're gonna get.
Yeah,
You're
but you
not
know what a
getting.
ribeye costs, and you look
See,
there and you're like,
and
it's
this
$10. You're like, oh, that's a great deal. I'm gonna get
is
that.
not the same to me. As a realtor, we are telling you what you're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
We are setting your expectations up front. In a restaurant, that's why I'm like, I cannot compare this both, and you're telling me I don't have the point because this is so different. Here you go in, you expect from whatever you think it is, whatever you like your experience is, or whatever your judgment is from the place. Not that the like the server comes up to you and sells the steak to you. You're gonna get the best experience, the best steak. It's gonna be cooked to perfection, whatever you want.
You're missing my point.
See,
My
and I
point is
I know your
the
point.
consumer's mindset, right? It's not about this isn't about value. I understand value. That's why I said you could get a fucking phenomenal ribeye at Dean's, right? And you know what you're going to get and you expect it and everybody's happy. Um, the point I'm trying to make is that I have identified, truthfully through you, that you can set expectations with the client,
Mhm.
and when they are not getting what top-notch service, they'll still complain. Like I could say to a client, "Hey, I'm going to be the least expensive person that is going to do this job, right? We'll get it done, but I'm going to be the least expensive. You know, I'm going to show up as much as I can. I'm going to do what I can, um, but I'm going to be the cheapest. So, you know, pay me half up front and you go ahead and buy all of the stuff that it needs to be done and this and that. And
Mhm.
like, you know what you're getting. And then halfway through the process, you're like, this isn't a good experience. And they're like, well, you know, I'm doing this for a huge discount. In fact, you should probably pay me more money. Oh, and by the way, I'm not going to be here for the whole entire next week because this is what you paid for. The consumer still has the balls to say, I'm not happy with the way that this transaction is happening. It's like, well, I told you up front. And you're like, yeah, but I'm not happy. Like, I could charge you more money if you'd like. And then I can provide you better service if you're going to want it. And the consumer goes, no, I think you should do this for what you're doing it for. You're making money. You're making money, right? The consumer, this is my point.
And this is where no, I don't even get to this point, by the way. But besides, if I would, this is where I would turn around to walk away. Like I would not work with the client because I would, which I'm not doing. But we'll see how everything plays out in the end, and then by the end of this year, if we do need to offer different services, I don't know. I don't know
So
how the market's gonna be.
here's where I will side with you now. I'm changing my thought process. So what I mean by that is that going back to the very beginning of this analogy, I thought when I see the ribeye steak for $9.99 at a Greasy Spoon restaurant, which is pretty much, in my opinion, only designed to cook like bacon, eggs, and pancakes, and I see this ribeye steak, instead of me thinking, yuck, there's no way I'm ordering that. I know exactly what it's going to be. And if anyone at my table ordered it and was disappointed, I'd be like, you're an idiot for ordering that. I'm changing my mind now. I think you're right. I think it shouldn't even be on the menu. And I think any agent that's offering 1% with the intention of trying to explain the expectation to the buyer or seller that, yeah, I'm going to do this for a discount, but you're not going to get as good of service, I think that's stupid. I think that is
Hmm.
terrible practice because I have learned that no matter what expectation you set, if it's not the expectation of we're going to knock it out of the park, if it's, hey, I'm going to be a little less expensive and it's not going to be as good a service, that's never going to go well.
Hmm.
It is never
I
going to go
agree.
well.
Yeah, I agree
And
with
I
that.
always thought, yeah, okay, that could go well. Cause I mean, I've had instances where people are like, look, man, like, I'm going to do this for a little bit of a discount, but like, it's got to, you know, the three things we always talk about that a consumer's looking for in any product is how quickly are you going to have it completed, right? How much is it going to cost and what's the quality going to be?
Mm-hmm.
Pick two is usually like the saying, right? So, hey, if you want it done quick and you want it done cheap, it's going to look like shit,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, I just don't think that the client, when you say, hey, I'll do it for cheap and I'm going to do it quick, but it's going to look like shit. When it looks like shit, the client's going to be like, this looks like shit. I'm pissed off. And you
Mm-hmm.
can be like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And guess who the bad guy is?
You.
You.
Mm-hmm.
So I just am, you've got me thinking lately that like there is the client that's like, I want it done cheap and I want it done quick. I should probably be like, yeah, you know, it's going to look like shit. When like, no, I'm good with it. Like, no, you won't be.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to call them out. Because I know me as the consumer, I thought I was in the norm, but I'm starting to realize I'm the outlier. I mean, we had instances We had one time when we had a hot tub installed. We had an electrician come over because he needed to install a was it 210 line,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "Yeah, I'll install the 210 line for $200." We're like, "All right, sweet." He goes and buys all the material. He digs a trench, and then halfway through, he calls me up and he's like, "Hey, man, I think I way underbid this job, and like I'm gonna need more money." And am now looking at it, and I think 9 out of 10 people be like, "Nah, fuck you. You're gonna do it for the price that you said you were gonna do it for." And then the contractor would have walked, and it would have been a bad experience for everybody. But I was like, okay, well, let's look at the receipts. Let's take a look at what it and when it was all said and done, I ended up giving the guy like an extra $150, and it was cool with me. I was like, okay, I see where you're at. I see that you're gonna make like $50 on this job right now. That's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought everybody was kind of like that. And they're like, oh no, if this guy doesn't fucking eat tomorrow, I don't give a shit. Maybe next time he'll quote the job better. Right? Like, so I don't I think the ribeye, the $9.99 ribeye shouldn't be on the menu anymore because every client's expecting, uh,
A service they deserve.
a service. Does it deserve? I like that. Does it deserve? People
Ev-
deserve service.
yeah, everyone
Interesting.
deserves a good service.
Okay.
If you're not an asshole, I'm sorry. For
You can swear on this
excuse me, but
podcast.
it's like if you're good to people, and people should be good to you, and then they deserve a good service.
Yeah.
They deserve a good experience, and especially when they're purchasing a house, which most of them do once in a lifetime. So you should not be disappointed. And yeah,
So don't try to nickel and dime home buyers and sellers. When you think you're saving money, I promise you, get multiple quotes. That's the first thing. And everybody should be fairly in line with what they're charging, and then just go with who you like,
exactly.
right? But if one guy's saying, 3% and the other guy's like, 3% and 4%, and it's all right there, and then another guy comes in, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to do this one. I'll do it for 1%." Like, don't use that guy. You're going to be pissed off. That's like ordering the $9.99 ribeye at the Greasy Spoon restaurant. Like,
Yeah.
that's your fault. You're dumb. That's stupid. I don't know. I feel like we beat that one like a dead horse. I've been thinking about it so much. I'm not joking. It's just like interesting the way that, the
Yeah.
consumer's brain works. And, it's something I try to think about. Um, Anything you would like to cover real estate wise? We got to be pushing that 58 minutes. Both of these are on right now. Yeah, we got.
Oh wow,
Yeah, see how quickly time flies.
it does. No, I'm just.
Well, I've got
Yes.
2 things I want to cover that
Oh,
I'm
more.
gonna clip out. No, it's
Okay.
just real quick things. Um, So April 30th, we are doing a virtual home tour event. So back in the day, we used to gather together agents that had listings. We would get like 10 agents together and we would caravan from listing to listing to listing so that agents could see listings and give feedback,
Mhm.
right? Well, we're going to do it virtually. So it's going to be April 30th. It is going to be at the Goosehead Training Center on Mopac. The website is virtualhometours.com, and I'll put that in a link. If you have a listing in Travis County, we want you to go on the website, or you can connect with me directly. I can fill out the information for you. We want to know where your listing is. We want you to put all the information, and then we would like you to come up, do like a 3 to 5 minute presentation, and all of the agents are going to have feedback sheets so that you can showcase your listing and talk about some of the things and how amazing it is, and other agents can give feedback on price and amenities and all of those sort of things. So it's a great way to network, obviously present your listing, get that feedback. Also, we're going to provide lunch, so that's always exciting. Real
Mhm.
estate agents love lunch. And we're also going to have a raffle as well. I think that it's going to be an amazing event. And then on the 24th of April, we had a really good response and turnout for the Craig Proctor coaching event, where we have identified that a lot of people are working with brokerages now that are providing them leads. And so this is all about lead conversion. If you're having trouble converting your leads, if you think the leads at your brokerage suck, or even if you're buying leads, They are going into some pretty creative ways on how to convert these leads into buyers and sellers. I have been a part of not only the training, but a couple of the trainings that they're doing after the fact. Great opportunity for agents. That one is going to be on April 24th. Same location, Goosehead. Contact me, but we'll have an Eventbrite out for that. And those are the two things we got going on in April.
Sounds good.
You got to showcase one of your listings.
I have everything on the contract right now.
Then you got to
I
get a
have
listing.
one coming up,
There it is.
but it needs some work before we even take any pictures. So it will take a month or two.
You got 3 weeks.
Okay.
Get on it. We'll get it
I'll work
showcased.
on it.
Anything that you want to say to the people out there? Anything you're looking for right now, business-wise, buyers, sellers? Anything anyone needs to know?
No.
No?
No, like I'm blanking right now.
Okay.
I'm blanking.
You've got all of your listings under contract, obviously looking to probably connect with new people who are considering selling, even if it's not now, maybe in the near future, just to have those consultations and have those conversations about what's it going to cost to sell your house, right? What's those commissions? Let's have those conversations and dispel the value of a low cost agent, right? A discount broker is what I believe they're called.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, of course.
Oh, that's yeah.
I'm always looking for clients. I mean, I do love working with first-time home buyers, and I just had a buyer's consultation last week, and who don't speak very well English, so it's like
Very well English.
See,
Yeah.
like English very well,
Mm-hmm.
and it is obviously more time consuming for me to try to translate it in different language, but in the end, I'm very happy to help, and they just signed my buyer's agreement. I'm gonna start helping them. But if any other Russian-speaking or German-speaking clients who are new to the country and don't know how to start and where to start and how this all work, reach out to me. I'll be happy to talk about it and maybe, getting you on the right path and help you. Even if it's not this year or next year, you need to start somewhere. So.
Ina Kail, Compass Realty. That'll be a great clip. I'm glad that you brought that up. 3 languages. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can also handle English-speaking clients,
English.
not just the German and Russian-speaking.
Obviously. But I just know people who come to America, they have the dream of home ownership. They might have to give up their house and home in the country they're coming from because for whatever reason the war started, or they just want to have a better life, and they have to give up everything they had and to start new in a different country without knowing the language and the rules, and it's just not easy. And I mean, I came to America 15 years ago. I didn't even know I needed a credit card and a credit history to even apply for a house. I spent money I had, and like when I went to a lender and I told him like, hey, I want to get a house, how much can I get approved for? Like they told me, you have no credit history. How do you want to get a house? So just with a thing like that, like a lot of people don't even know. And I'm here to educate and give them tricks and tell them what to do and where to start.
Love it. All right. Well, as always, it is a pleasure doing podcasts with you. You're one of the most elusive, one of the most elusive guests. You know, you're here every single day with the ability to do these. We got to drag you on. So
I know.
Always a pleasure having you on, and want to thank you for facing that fear of being on camera. Nice work.
Oh, thank you.
All right.